Hey Baba and happy Amartithi to everyone. We're happy to be here today to hear Charles speak to us about living the dream at the foot, at the feet of the Master. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Charles. Jai Baba.
Jay Baba, everybody. So wonderful to see all of you. So many friends, so many wonderful people in Baba's family joined together. Um, if you hear barking in the background, just think of it as my backup singers, you know. they 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 will just suddenly start for no reason, or maybe someone comes to the door. So anyway,
Then I can't hear it.
yeah. Yeah. So then if you hear them, just uh know that it's just background noise of my life. Well, I think I would like to begin our time together with Mayor Baba's words, because it goes all downhill from there. You can't get better than that. So one morning in the barn during the 1958 Sahabas, beloved Baba gave this very beautiful message. I am the ancient one, the one residing in every heart. Therefore, love others, make others happy, serve others, even at discomfort to yourself. This is to love me. I suffer for the whole universe. I must suffer infinitely. Unless I suffered, how could I ask my lovers to suffer for others? I am one with all on every level. I am one with all on every plane of consciousness. And I am beyond all planes of consciousness. So on this, the 54th anniversary of the moment the Ancient One left his physical body, how blessed we are that the avatar of the age has awakened us to his presence in our hearts. As Elizabeth put it soon after Baba dropped the body, he is so much more available now. I want to thank Angela for making all this possible and for the invitation to share about the beloved on this special day. And thank you, Ruthie, as always, for hosting our virtual gathering. So as Ruthie mentioned, the theme for my reflections on this special Amartithi is living the dream at the feet of the Master. Now, this theme came to me after Christopher read at breakfast one recent morning a story about Baba's and Mani's beloved Cocker Spaniel, Peter. You may have read this story in Mehera Meher, or even heard Mani related in Mondley Hall. Let me show you just to refresh what Peter looks like. This is Mani with Peter. Peter, the story goes, would lie before Baba at his feet in Mondley Hall. If Erich had to give something to Baba, he had to lean over the dog. Mani's office was nearby in the storeroom in the main house, from where she sees the back doors of Mondley Hall. So one morning, little bell rang for Mani. Mani stopped typing and rushed over to the hall. With a twinkle in his eye, all that Baba said was, "Just look at that." And he pointed to Peter prone, snoring, fast asleep at his feet. "Baba, shall I take him away?" Mani asked. "Let the rascal be," Baba chuckled. I went away and continued my typing, Mani recalls. 2 days later, again, when the bell rang for me, it was the same scene. Baba in the chair, and there was Peter sprawled before him. He wasn't snoring, he was dreaming. Whenever he was excited, chasing something, he made a lot of squeaking noises. He was lying flat, his paws moving so fast, with a frown of concentration on his face. Look at him. Just look at him, Baba said. Then Baba said something which I thought over only afterwards. Look at Peter. He's dreaming. He thinks he's being chased by wolves, or he's running, chasing birds or rabbits, going over mountains, across rivers, through deserts, all this. And yet, he's safe and sound at my feet. He's not doing any of these things. While he thinks he's doing all that, he's safe and sound at my feet. When I look back, Mani relates, I feel this was one of Baba's simple sermons, when Baba would make you aware through a very simple illustration of the profound depths of what he's giving. We think we're doing so much, going through so much. Oh, I can't stand it anymore. He tells us, don't worry, because he knows this is only dreaming. We are really safe and sound at his feet. When you are Baba, Mani says, he takes over totally, if we only have that trust. As lovers of Meher Baba, we are living the dream at the feet of our master. Like Peter, we experience the entire world. Mountains, oceans, living creatures in our dream. We often feel small and helpless in this vast universe. We are happy, we suffer, we laugh, we cry, we worry, we rejoice, all the while taking this world to be real. But as Baba explained to the Prem Ashram boys, in all states and under all circumstances, whether you are dreaming dreams in sleep, dreaming the dream of life on earth, dreaming acute hell or heaven states after leaving the gross body, or dreaming the real dreams in the higher spiritual planes, essentially, you remain the same. Everything and everyone represents God in one way or another, in the some state of consciousness or another. But the God-man, Avatar, Buddha, Christ, Rasul, represents God in every way, in everything, and everywhere, in one and all states of consciousness, manifest or latent. The Avatar's role, Baba says, is to take human form, to suffer with us, to help us realize through divine love that all we experience, all we enjoy, all we suffer is nothing but a dream. We worry, we suffer, because, Baba says, we take life seriously and God lightly, whereas we must take God seriously and life lightly. Baba often quoted Hafiz as saying, 1,000 times I have ascertained and found it to be true that the universe and the affairs of the universe are nothing into nothing. 1,000 times I have ascertained and found it to be true that the universe and the affairs of the universe are totally nothing into nothing. My advent, Baba says, is not to destroy illusion, because illusion as it is absolutely nothing. I come to make you become aware of the nothingness of illusion. Through you, I automatically maintain illusion, which is nothing but the shadow of my infinite self. And through me, you automatically discard illusion when you experience its falseness. I was fascinated to see in Creation and Its Causes, which is truly a remarkable book, a facsimile of a slip of paper in Baba's own handwriting. On that piece of paper, Baba wrote in part, "Good dreams make you sleep comfortably. To make you awake, a tiger must come. When once awake, the tiger also disappears and you become awake." So Baba is the tiger who enters our dream to wake us up when the moment is right. Baba tells us that entering our dream as the avatar involves great suffering on his part. The infinite one must confine himself in finite form for the sake of divine love. Only by living amongst us, suffering with us, living the life of the perfect human, can he awaken us. Or more precisely, awaken himself in us from the dream. Baba remained in his physical body, suffering from self-imposed limitations, only as long as it took, not a moment longer, to complete his mission of awakening. You'll no doubt recall from the family letters how Mani describes Baba during those last stays at Guru Prasad, sitting alone in his chair in his room, finishing, he said, his universal work. And from another room, the Mandli would sometimes hear Baba pounding his thigh to keep himself in the body to complete his work. As much as we may long for it, Baba says we can do nothing to wake ourselves up from the dream. That's only possible, he says, by grace alone. But what, if anything, can we, his lovers, do to prepare to receive his grace? Of course, over the years, Baba gave many clues to the secret of preparing for his grace. One of these clues, one that was brought home to me by Baba at an early age, is this: remain constantly awake to his presence. When I was just 13 years old, Baba stressed the importance of being awake to his presence through two little moments with Baba at the East-West gathering. One afternoon, I was sitting on the front row under the pandal, gazing at Baba as he gave darshan to his Eastern devotees. At one point, Baba halts the line and asks musicians to play bhajans in praise of the beloved. Baba looks down at the crowd and catches my eye. Pointing to Ben Heyman, an elderly Baba lover from Texas who is sitting next to me, Baba gestures, "Is Ben awake?" Now, Ben had a medical condition that caused him to nod off at odd moments. So Baba tweaking Ben about staying awake became a running joke that between them that actually started at the 1958 Sahabas. Baba apparently would use Ben as a foil to remind all of us to stay awake to him. Is he awake? Baba gestures to me. Well, I glance at Ben, who appears fully awake. I look at Baba and nod, yes. Baba then gestures with a movement of his elbow, like this. Nudge him. So I do as Baba asks, and I poke Ben in the side. Ben jumps as though he has been startled awake, and then he starts to laugh. Baba smiles widely, enjoying the joke. The second incident took place on another day of the gathering, during the morning session with the Westerners. I'm sitting next to Baba's knee, staring intently at his face. Baba begins swaying gently, like this, listening to ghazals being sung to him. Baba's graceful movement, combined with the rhythmic beat of drums, has a hypnotic effect on me. My eyes slowly begin to close. And just as they start to shut, a hand suddenly covers my face. My eyes fly open. And through the splay of Baba's fingers, I see him smiling at me. He gestures emphatically, "Keep awake." Since that moment, I've tried with mixed success to obey Baba's command to keep awake to his presence. In our life with Baba, being awake requires, of course, loving him, obeying him as much as possible, and even more than we think is possible. What does Baba tell us is the best way, one of the best ways, to keep awake, to be alert to his presence? One answer, an answer Baba emphasized many times, is captured by the message I began with. I am the Ancient One, the one residing in every heart. Therefore, love others, make others happy, serve others, even at discomfort to yourself. This is to love me. In Baba's wish for his lovers, which he said was a command, it was an order from Baba. He read this out had this read out for the first time in the West in the barn in 1958, and he made it clear that this was not just suggestions. He said the lover must keep the wish of the beloved. So this message was very important, and Baba had it read out 3 times. He had a joke told between the first and second reading, just to relieve the atmosphere, but he had it read out 3 times. And he says there, with the understanding that Baba is in everyone, try to help and serve others. There are 2 ways to love God, Baba explained during his visit to America in 1956. One is to leave all and everything. That means to have nothing of your own, not even your body, to renounce absolutely everything. Everything means not only your surroundings, but everything, including yourself. The second is something great, Baba says. There, you don't have to renounce anything. You can lead a family life, be in the world, do your work or business, attend to your services, attend theaters, parties, everything. But always do one thing. Constantly think, constantly try to make others happy, even at the cost of your own happiness. That is the second way of loving God. I don't know about you, but I'll take door number 2. Theater, parties. Well, as you know, in our culture today, self-care with a small s has become a cottage industry, right? Now, Baba is all for self-care, but his self-care has a capital S. Serving others, making others happy, if done for Baba, is serving Baba, making Baba happy. True self-care, in other words, is caring for our real self, who is none other than Baba, in others. And that is the path to happiness. As Baba says, real happiness lies in making others happy. How to make others happy? Well, that can be answered by as many people as there are who love Baba. But growing up with Elizabeth and Kitty, I was blessed to have two exemplars of what it means to make Baba happy by loving, serving, and making others happy. Now, by the time I met them in 1957, these two great disciples lived only to love and serve Baba, putting him first, without even thinking about it, in all that they did. Living with Baba in India, they learned by doing what it means to please Baba. Now, Baba did not erase their personalities. On the contrary, both retained those wonderful traits and quirks that made Kitty Kitty and Elizabeth Elizabeth. Instead, he wears down the ego and puts our personality to work for him. We all have our quirks and eccentricities, and Baba puts them to good use. That's why when someone would complain about something a Baba lover was doing, Elizabeth would say, well, all I can say is, if Baba accepts them, so must we. And sometimes she would add, well, if you think we're bad now, you should have seen us before Baba. So true. From watching Kitty and Elizabeth in action, I learned that putting Baba first means first and foremost putting others first, even at discomfort to yourself. They taught me by the example of their daily life that beloved Baba resides in everyone. Making others happy, therefore, makes Baba happy. Kitty was, of course, the archetypal servant, right? As many of you know well from personal experience. Always ready and eager to serve, whatever the discomfort to herself. Mani once told me that in the ashram, Kitty was so eager to serve that she often did tasks assigned to others before they could get to it. Mani said it could be very annoying. You would go to do your job only to find that Kitty had already done it. At the center, Kitty did it all, right? She cleaned cabins, she pulled moss off trees, which annoyed Elizabeth no end, took care of Elizabeth, nursed Ruth White, all with a dizzying level of energy and enthusiasm, one of her favorite words. As many of you remember, in Kitty's later years, Baba put her to work meeting with pilgrims and seekers drawn by Baba to his home. In her enthusiasm to serve others, she would, as was her nature, jump ahead, right? As soon as someone mentioned they need a place to live, Kitty was on the phone, tracking down a solution. Need a job? Kitty would find you one. Relationship issues? Kitty was the Dear Abby of the Baba community. Making others happy was like breathing for Kitty. Baba had so worn down her small self that she had plenty of room for Baba when he walked through the door of her book room as a seeker, a lover, a pilgrim. Kitty had so lost the capacity to think about herself that she had to do workarounds to express her needs. At the dinner table, for example, Kitty would take what Elizabeth called the jump up seat, so she could jump up and get something that someone might need. In later years, when jumping up was too difficult, Kitty would be creative about expressing her own need for something. One day, to cite a typical example, Kitty said, "Oh, Charles, I'm sure you want some mustard with your dinner." Well, I didn't want mustard, but I was on to her. So I said, "Oh, yes, Kitty, I do." So I got up to get the mustard that Kitty clearly wanted. careful, of course, to take some first before offering it to her. Kitty was unique. Elizabeth used to say with a twinkle in her eye, "There is only one Kitty. There will never be another." Now, in a very different way, Elizabeth also served Baba by putting him first, and that meant putting others first, especially those Baba drew to his home. People find Baba at the center, Elizabeth often said, because they bring him with them in their hearts. Baba gave Elizabeth the responsibility of seeing to the comfort of his guests. So behind the scenes, she would work tirelessly to keep the center in readiness for Baba to arrive in each one who came through the gate. When she was still able, she often went into the center to replace dishes, make sure there were enough utensils, and would sometimes leave a cabin with a chair that needed some paint. Taking the chair back to her bedroom, she would spread out the newspaper on her floor and touch it up. Elizabeth was very attuned to everyone and everything at the center. If someone who had been with Baba for many years was at the center, those she called old-timers, Elizabeth always arranged to have them for lunch or dinner. When new people arrived, she would remind me, "Charles, remember, they may be new to us, but they're not new to Baba." Although she didn't meet with as many people as Kitty or Jane, Elizabeth was always the one to meet with, well, let's just say, challenging people. And woe to you if you disobeyed Baba's directives. Elizabeth had a way of suddenly appearing, like magic, and catching you in the act. I've always loved the story that Robert Dreyfus would tell about his return to the center after an absence of some years. He was put in the twin cabin. And soon after arriving, he looked out his cabin door and saw Elizabeth pull up near the cabin in her car. Hunched over, walking slowly, she came to his door and said, "I just came to see if you're comfortable and have everything you need." Well, a little taken aback, Robert said, "Oh, yes, Elizabeth, I have everything I need. It's wonderful to be here." "That's good," she said. "Well, I'll be going now." "Would you like to come in?" Robert asked. "Oh, no," she said with a smile. "That would be against the rules." "Elizabeth, wait," Robert said. "It's starting to rain. Let me get something to cover you." She looked up at him and smiled. "Oh, that's not necessary," she replied. "It's perfectly all right. I'll just dance through the raindrops." And off she went, slowly making her way back to the car. We cannot, Baba tells us, wake ourselves up from the dream. But we can, he tells us, live the dream in such a way as to make him happy by preparing for his grace. Grace that he will give when the moment is right. On December 30th, 1927, Baba gave a lecture to the Prem Ashram boys on various dream states. At the conclusion of the lecture, Baba says, Remember only this much. All this is a dream. Only God is real. And God is love. Hence, create love. Remember only this much. All this is a dream. Only God is real. And God is love. Hence, create love. So let me end where I began, with this message from beloved Baba to his lovers. I am the Ancient One, the one residing in every heart. Therefore, love others, make others happy, serve others, even at discomfort to yourself. This is to love me. Loving others, making others happy, serving others even at discomfort to ourselves is truly living the dream at the feet of the Master. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, Charles. Thank you so much. I was thinking, the truth is I was in the hospital, and when I go in the hospital, I look up Charles Haynes videos on YouTube because, like the woman who exercises, your voice has a way of just helping me. And of course, what your topic, and you mentioned Saint Teresa of Avila. You were talking about and now the word not cherishing, nurturing. I think it was nurturing Baba in yourself. And you mentioned Saint Teresa of Avila saying something about she made her soul like a bird's nest. Do you remember that? Or does that?
Yes. Yes, I got it from Christopher. Christopher, what is the actual quote? He's the Teresian scholar in our household.
Yeah.
It's just an image that she used again and again so much of the interior being like a nest or a bed, and this a place where Christ can come and take repose within oneself.
It's such a gentle, sweet image of internal life. Oh, Christopher, thank you. Jai Baba. Well, Charles, I don't know if I'm sure everybody wants to say something or speak or just acknowledge.
Well, I'm happy for whatever people would like to do. Those who want to stay and just have any conversation, I'm happy to do that.
All right, we won't make it too long, but it'd be wonderful. So it's up to you guys, however you want to do. If you want to just speak up or raise a hand, if you have a question or.
I'd like to speak to Charles. Charles, this is Charlie Fasanaro.
Hi, Charlie. Nice to see you.
Good to see you too. And
Hey, Alan.
as well. Thank you so much for that, and bring back such wonderful memories. You know, after Vietnam, there was a lot of suffering in my life, and Baba led me to do a number of things. But when I went to see Elizabeth, she was the most kind to me. And she told me to calm down, stop talking so fast, and to pet the little creature that was by my feet. And that really helped me a lot. So I want to thank you so much for being such a good friend and a noble person for all these years. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Charlie. That's very, very sweet. And thank you for that vignette of dear Elizabeth.
Slow down, huh? Quit talking.
I have a question.
Yes, Dylan.
Yes.
Charles,
Hi.
I don't know your age now, so I can't do the math. how old were you when Baba dropped his body? How did you hear about it? And anything you want to share about taking in that information?
Yes. I was, 1969, so I would have been 20, almost 20. Yeah, so I was born in 49, so, my goodness, so it would have been before my 20th birthday. What happened was I was in college at Emory, and Mother had come to Emory to direct us in a play, which she sort of stepped out and did that after so many years. Why? Because she wanted to earn a little money to help her daughter Diane go to the darshan. At that point, of course, the darshan was planned, and we still went, but it was planned in a different way because Baba was still in the body. But in any case,
I'm sorry, did you say you had a sister named Diane?
Diane, an older sister, half sister, she did not grow up with us. So we didn't know her until later in her life. And, but she wanted to go to India, and Mother wanted to make it possible. So the story, simple story is this: Mother was in another place, another building, and I was in my dorm. And she couldn't be reached really there very easily. You had to call there, and then somebody had to go get her. So the phone rang very early in the morning. I can't tell you exactly what time it was. And I picked up the phone, and Elizabeth was on the line. She said, without any introduction, she said, "Charles, Baba says God alone is real. There is nothing else." And then she said, "I have word from Adi that beloved Baba has dropped his physical body." And I was speechless. So I don't know, I might have said something, but I just couldn't speak. And she said, "Now tell your mother." Oh, she also said this, I forgot. She said, "Adi says that Baba says, I go now, but I will come again. And go tell your mother," or "tell your mother." So I hung up. I called over to this place where she was staying. I got someone to go find her and wake her up. It was very early in the morning. And she came to the phone, and I said, "Mother." And she said, "Is it Wendy?" I said, "No." "Is it Elizabeth?" I said, "No." She said, "Oh, okay. What is it?" And I said, "Annie Boo called to tell us that Baba has dropped his body." And before I could get the words out of my mouth, Mother exclaimed, "Oh, I'm so happy. He's no longer suffering." Then the next thing she said, "But I feel so for the girls." Means women, Mondley. And so that's how I heard. That's how I heard. How Elizabeth, just to add a footnote, because I've been thinking about this and sharing this with friends, and I must have put it in my Elizabeth book. I don't remember what I put in there and what I didn't now. But the night of January 31st, it was already after midnight. So it was January 31st in Myrtle Beach when Baba dropped the body in India, whatever, 10 and a half hours difference. Elizabeth suddenly starts awake in her bed and sits up. And the words of the old hymn, which is a quote from the book of Job, come to her. I know that my Redeemer liveth. And it turned out that was the time Baba left his body. Hello, Alan.
Charles, what was your inner reaction to hearing that even though God alone exists, Baba had just dropped his body?
I went into sort of a fugue state, a kind of a shock, you know. And my feeling was I should just focus on letting people know. And there were a group of people at Emory who loved Baba. You know, people, many of whom are still with Baba today, Warren Hicks, Ginny, then Williamson, people like that in the group. Anyway, my first responsibility was to let them know. So I put aside any feeling I might have or any sense of grief or shock and called them together and tried to express what I really felt deep in my heart, and that is that Baba is with us. And as hard as it is to not have that physical body any longer, and of course the darshan coming up, you know, not to anticipate seeing him in the body, as hard as that was, I'm not saying it wasn't challenging, there was also something liberating going on. That how free he is and how free we are to be with him in every moment. So that was my initial response.
Alan Ray, did you want to speak? You had something you wanted to bring?
Charles, thanks so much for being with us today. It means a lot to many of us. And you remember, of course, Pinch of Love Bakery. And you've reminded me about just how much Elizabeth was in tune with what was going on in the center. The same day that Elizabeth sent a message to Ed Van Buskirk and Ron Omeron to stop adjusting people on the beach. They were students, chiropractic students back then. This is 1973. Elizabeth also sent a message to me up at the refectory where I was conducting a bake-in, teaching people how to bake bread. So she caught me in the act, and so it is.
Yeah. Yeah, you couldn't get much past her, I'll tell you that. Jeff can testify, she had a kind of radar, you know, she knew exactly what was going on. Joy, you have your hand up.
Meher Baba, Charles. We've met before at Richard Goldman's house when you were in Chicago. I don't know what year it was. It's all a blur, but I just wanted to say hi and that we have met before. And my name was different. I had a Hindi name from another ashram. I was Diana in Chicago, and now I'm Joy in Myrtle Beach. So the people in Chicago still know me as Diana, which is really nice too. But I want to thank you for what you said today, your message to us. It was so inspiring. And I was kind of on an intoxicated high from being at Amartithi in Myrtle Beach and with people. And now I feel sort of more grounded, I guess. I kind of had gone off with all the love and stuff. And I just wanted to tell you what you said has meant so much to me today, going forward with making others happy. And, you know, I need this from other people. And I really appreciate your heartfelt talk to us and everything that you said. I just want you to know that. So I'm Joy in Myrtle Beach if we ever should cross our paths again. It's
you, Joy.
Great to see you and great to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you. That means a lot. I love your name, Joy in Myrtle Beach. That's a lovely name.
Thank you. And it has a Baba story, which I won't tell you now, maybe some other time.
Yes, I would like to hear that. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Babu? Jay Baba.
Oh, is it me?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, Jay Baba. Charles, good to see you. Mahu here.
Oh, Mahu, Jay Baba Mahu.
Jay Baba, and thank you so much for your sharing. You know, you emanate so much love
Well, thank you.
that, you know, I know my heart is full now. So I have a great day today. We're 3 hours behind the East Coast. So now this is my greeting, but I'll ask my question now. My question is, and you mentioned it in your talk, of course. My question is, oftentimes here and there, in fact, his last message, that beloved Baba, before he drops his body, he did mention that, remember this, I am not this body. And of course, later on, there's a beautiful quote that, you know, I always remember. And he says, I am not limited by this form. I use it like a garment to make myself visible to you. So this is his form, and this is how we got to know him, and this is how we remember him, love him, and follow him. So what is your opinion about seeing Baba behind his form? Because obviously it's formless, we know that. But is there any attempt we must do on our own, or is a natural process of awakening that gets done by him?
Well, that's a beautiful question. And Baba raised this himself in 1962 at the East-West Gathering in a session with the Westerners. His answer to that is, long to see me as I really am. So that's our part. I mean, we can't see him as he really is without his grace. He says that, but we can long to see him as he really is. And Baba made a big point of this particular morning. He said, you know, I want you to long to see me as I really am. And I think many of us, I won't speak for anybody else. I mean, I think I was a little abashed, you know, because, I mean, I don't know what could be better than this, right? I mean, I guess I kind of had some sense of what he meant, to see him as he really is. I mean, you know, I theoretically, but to see him in the form, well, you know, I mean, so sitting there, I had a hard time with it. And so I think Baba knew that we were all sort of thinking this. And so he went around and he said to different people, you know, would you rather see me as I really am, or like this? You know, people kind of looked a little, you know, like, don't call on me, and Baba did. And, you know, people would, you know, say, oh, well, Baba, you know, I mean, people tried to answer in a way they thought Baba wanted them to answer, you know, yeah, you know, I want to see you, you really are. But of course, Baba was on to us, and he turned to his favorite foil at that point, Anita. I mean, Anita could make Baba laugh, right? And he could depend on her, right? When he wanted to make a point. So he turned to Anita and he said, and you, Anita, would you rather see Baba as he really is, or like this? And Anita looked at Baba, and without skipping a beat, she said, oh, both, Baba. And Baba said, that's very good. That's a good answer. But Baba said, but then he laughed, and we all laughed, because that's what we were thinking, you know. But then he got serious again, and he said, yeah, he says, Baba wants you to long to see me as I really am. And then he paused and he smiled and he said, but this is very wonderful. So we breathed a sigh of relief, because that's as far as I had gotten. You know? And I still want to be with him when he comes again. I don't, you know, Christopher and I talk about this a lot. You know, we don't give me liberation or whatever it is, because I'm going to be there when he comes again. And however hard I have to you know, row the, you know, the suffering and the lifetime, you know, I'm going to get there and be there. But at the same time, I try to remember to obey Baba and try to find a way to long to see him as he really is. So it's both. It's Anita's right. It's both. It's both.
Thank you.
You know,
That was great.
I can't resist, but I was telling, someone brought up something along the lines in it about, you know, we not really wanting liberation. Christopher's pretty adamant about it. You know, he's like, no, don't give it. Don't get, I don't think he has anything to worry about, but
No, I think we're a long way from that anyway.
that's right. Why worry? But no, we were talking about how, you know, we want to be with Baba, you know, and of course that is part of the love game, right? I mean, Baba gives us this feeling, and then what to do. So I asked Erich this question, and and I guess we were walking one morning or something, and I don't know what, it came into my head. And I said, you know, Erich, do you think about liberation or realization now, you know, at this point in your life with Baba? I mean, you've been with him and you're so close and all that. Surely, you know, this is around the corner for you. And Erich said, he said, no, brother, I'm telling you, I don't want it. You don't want it? No. Yeah, why would I want that? I want to be with him. I said, yes, Erich, but you're one of the, if I may say, closest to Baba, and, I mean, you must be pretty close to being, liberated or whatever you call it. And he says, yeah, brother, what can I do? What can I do? He said, have you seen the fruit trees? And I said, yeah, I've seen the fruit trees. Yeah, the fruit trees. You've seen? Yes, Erich, I've seen fruit trees. He said, yeah. So, yeah, you know how the fruits come on the tree like that? Yeah. He says, yeah. So, we Mondly people, we're like the fruits on that tree. I said, yeah, we're the fruits on his tree. I said, yeah. Oh, he said, but you know how it is with the fruits. Have you seen how they are? I said, yes. What is it that they do? Well, I said, they get ripe. Yeah, they get ripe. Yeah, that's the thing. They get ripe. How is that? They get ripe. What can they do? Do they want to be on the tree? They want to be part of the tree with him. But what can they do? They are getting ripe all the time. So he said, yeah, so we're like that. We're the fruits. And you know how it is, you get ripe. And have you seen what happens when the fruits get ripe? I said, yeah. What happens? Well, eventually they just fall off the tree. He says, yeah. That's how it is. What can we do? What can we do? Yeah, so that's how it is.
Thank you, Charles.
They're my backup singers.
Oh, there they are. Yeah.
They waited a while. Yeah.
Love dogs. They're the love
Yes.
dogs Rumi talks about. Yeah. Anybody else?
What would life be without them? Huh?
I know. They teach us so much. All right, well, I'm gonna just say this is the last chance if you want to have a little question or conversation.
Well, I just want to say thank you to everyone for joining today and for giving me this opportunity to share Baba. It's been just such a joy, and to see all of those who have given their lives to Baba, and this is quite a gathering. This is quite a gathering. I look and see these faces of people who've lived with him, dedicated their lives to him, love him. And that's so inspiring. It's so inspiring. So thank you. This has been a joy. And thank you, Ruthie, for your wonderful hosting, as always.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Jai Baba, Charles.
Jai Baba.
Hey, Bob, everyone.
Jai Baba. A
Happy
complete
Amartithi.
joy for us.
Jai Baba.
Thank you, Charles. Jai Baba.
Thank you, Charles.
Jai Baba, thank
Hey,
you.
Baba.
Jai Baba. Thank you,
Hey,
Charles.
Baba.
Thank you, Charles.
Thank you all.
Jai Baba, Charles, thank you.
Thank you.
Amartithi.
Thank you. And thank you for the sweet messages, Brad and Julie and Malini. It's just lovely. It's wonderful. And Anthony, Karen, so lovely. Thank you.
Thank you, Baba.
Well, I just can't end it like that. I just can't. I'll stop recording though.